Hi, thanks for coming on. Andy speaking. Friday the 18th of November, looking ahead to games in the weekend in Scotland, England and the National League. And just to say, I'll be back on Sunday, because I'm still doing a lot of research on these World Cup games. There will be a bet on Sunday and Monday, but I'm going to wait till Sunday, but it will be up here on Sunday, 1 p.m. Members' email will go out Sunday morning, and we'll do a video covering probably Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I would have thought we'll see how it goes. Let me see how I get through it. But there's definitely some bets anyway. But right, let's get on with this. We'll start with Scotland. Absolutely atrocious week in Scotland, and you'll see what I mean. Right, Scottish Championship. We got no Scottish Premiership. But I mean, just take a look through this. You can see there's one game that's got a bit of value in. Do you know, I've given one bet to members this week. That is the worst coupon I've seen in 4 years. I mean, you do get the odd blank week, and you do get the odd week where there's hardly anything. And this week, sadly for members, there's only one bet. I mean, if you just look at this first game, Cove Morton 36-24 40. Cove I make 7-4, they're 6-4. Morton I make 6-4, they are 6-4. I mean, you're just not going to bet in that. Dundee Hamilton 66-23 11. You're not going to bet in that. Dundee 2's on, they're 4-9. Hamilton 8-1 13-2. Inverness 38-23 39. Now there's 0.12 in Inverness, but at 38%, you're just not going to take it. I mean, that is not enough for that, because there's a 62% chance that's not going to win, and to only be paid 0.12 for something that's will lose 62 times out of 100, you're just not going to take it. There's just not enough in it. Partick Arbroath 48-24 28. Again, I think Partick should be 21-20. They're evens. Arbroath bookmakers have got the right price, or so I think anyway. Wraith Queen's Park 50-24 26, even money, they're even money. Queen's Park 14-5, they're 11-4. It's an atrocious coupon in Scotland. England's brilliant. There's plenty in the National League, but Scotland, it's the worst. As I say, it's the worst week I've seen since I think it's 2018 or 17 even. I can't remember. I'll have to look, but it's 4 or 5 seasons since I've seen a coupon as poor as this. When I done the figures earlier in the week, I thought there are some really strong bets, and it's like this one, for example. I thought Wraith even money, Queen's Park, we know that they're doing well. I thought we're going to get 5-4 about this, for maybe 13-10. We're getting evens. It's shocking. Really is. It's a shame. But let's have a look at League One. Scottish League One, not much better. There's some value here, but then when you weigh that up against the ratings, it isn't worth it. Airdrie Kelty 50-24 26. Airdrie 3-4. Not a chance do they warrant being odds on. Absolutely no way in this world. They drew at home to Peterhead last week, and they went off something like 4s on, or something ridiculous like that. Same as Dunfermline, they were like 4s on at home to Clyde. None of them won. You can't trust Airdrie, and being asked to take that's an insult. There's just over half a point in Kelty, but at 26%, and like I always say, when you're dealing with things in that sort of mid to low 20s, you want a point in it. You want a point or more, because there's a 74% chance that's not going to win. So this figure here has to sort of relate in some way to that, and that's just not enough. Clyde Falkirk 25-25 50. Again, I don't think Falkirk warrant being even money. Okay, they've won 3 games from 7 on the road. I mean, straight away that says to you that they don't. That's a below a 50% win rate. I know Clyde are rubbish, and it's between them and Peterhead who drops, and maybe they both will. But you don't take odds on about something like that. Half a point again at 25%, it just isn't worth it. Edinburgh Alloa, impossible game to solve, 38-24 38. I hope Alloa will win. But again, I mean, I've got them in at 13-8. Bookmakers got them in at 6-4. We can't touch it. Peterhead Dunfermline 2024-56. Yeah, there's a point in Peterhead, which I'd want more than that. I'd want sort of like a point and a quarter if I was going to touch that. We're getting a point. It's not enough. I can't see how Dunfermline are 2s on after a home draw last week at home to Clyde. I do think Dunfermline will win the game. They're certainly rated to win the game, but 2-1 on is just absolutely incredible. Queen of the South Montrose 37-23-40. There's 0.25 in Montrose at 40%. It's not, again, it's just not enough. They do think they'll win tomorrow. That's what I'm told, or they're hopeful. But this team is so in and out. They're capable of turning up, sticking 4 past Montrose, or Montrose are capable of sticking 4 past them. It's really a game to swerve. And as sad as it is, the Championship and League One, there is just nothing at all for betting purposes. Moving on to League Two, again, not much better here. You've only got 2 games with any interest. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's how you see it, as I always say. But from my point of view, Albion Stranraer 35-25-40. I wouldn't trust them on the road. I'd probably want 15-8 minimum to get involved in Stranraer, knowing what side they are. Albion, we know how much they fight, but again, 15-8, about a 17-10 shot, you're just not going to take it. Annan Elgin 50-24-26. There's been some seriously big money for Annan this week. I struggled to see it. They're just, I mean, they've won twice at home all season. It's just not enough, is it? I make them even money, and that's, I'm not going to say I'm being generous, but I could find a case for making them 11-10 against, and we're being asked to take 11-10 on. I just not interested at all in it. It's I wouldn't back them either. It's not a chance. Dumbarton 4-5 56-24-20. Finally, I think a team here that does warrant being odds on. 4-5, I think, is my price. They're 10-11. There's 0.11 in it. 0.11 at 56%. It's okay. It's not brilliant. You know my thoughts on Forfar. The manager is atrocious. They've got the first or second best squad in this division, and I say it every week. I'm sick of saying it. Until they sack the manager, they're going to be in that position. Stenhouse Muir, Bonnie Rig 55-24-21. Again, this was another bet that I was really revved up to smack into. This was good. I was all set to have 2 points until I saw the price. I put them in at 4-5. I thought we may get a bit of even money, and I just not prepared to take it. That again, they've won twice from 7 games at home, Stenhouse Muir, and that is what I was hoping, that why we might get a price. I was hoping bookmakers would look at that and think, well, they've only won twice at home and blah blah blah, but no, I'm not betting Stenhouse Muir. 0.05 is just not enough. Bonnie Rig I make 4-1. They're 11-4. That's an insult. They're the worst team in this division, no question. Sterling East Fife 54-24-22. This was a game where I wanted to be with East Fife. Sterling are flying along. There's no question about that. They did get turned over last week at home, but they're flying along. And I thought, wow, we might get a really decent price about East Fife, but no, we're not. 100-30. I mean, they've, I think 7 games or something like that on the road. They're unbeaten. That's what sort of interested me, but not at 100-30 when they should be 7-2. I'd want upwards of 4-1 to get involved in that. I wouldn't trust Sterling either, really. I mean, I made them 5-6 or 8-11. They were turned over at home to Annan last week. It's honestly, these prices this week in Scotland are the worst I've seen in 4 or 5 seasons. It really is. And do you know, it felt like you've done the work, and it feels like that some bookmakers or somebody's peered over your shoulder and just jotted down your prices, if you like. It happens. It does happen. Just, you know, we've got one bet and for members, and that's it. And sadly, that's all there is in Scotland this week. It's atrocious. It really is. It's the worst coupon, as I say, in 4 or 5 years. But there's not a lot I can do about it. Right, let's go on to League One then in England. Obviously, we got no Premiership and Championship, which I don't mind. I mean, I do miss the Championship because we're tickling along really nice in the Championship. I'm going to have a quick look at some figures from those divisions at the end, towards the end of this video. Portsmouth derbies tonight, 5th at home to 6. I wouldn't trust either of them. I mean, Derby, they've won 3 on the road, but they've been against all teams in that bottom third. You know, they've not won away to anybody of note. Portsmouth, I think 3 games they've won at home. They've had so many draws. I don't think Pompey will lose this game tonight. I don't think they'll lose this game, but I don't think for win purposes they're far too short. There's a bit in Derby, but it's not enough. Seriously, not interested in that. Exeter Ipswich 29, 24, 47. I thought there was enough in Exeter. Well, there's not just enough. There's a lot in Exeter. You know, I think they should be 5-2. They're 4-1. They've won 5 games at home. Okay, they've lost 3, but then, you know, they've beaten Peterborough, Wickham here, some okay sides. Ipswich, to me, are flat track bullies. If you look at their record away from home against teams in the bottom half, they've played 6, won 6. If you look at their away record to teams in the top half, they've played 3, won none. I think that's a bit of a flat track bully side, I'm afraid. It's 1.5 in Exeter. It's whether you think it's enough to warrant. Don't forget, I mean, if you're going to think of backing of Exeter, there's a 71% chance they won't win. There's a 71% chance this game will either be a draw or Ipswich win. But you have to factor in, are you being paid enough for a bet at 29%? Barnsley MK Dons, again, another side I don't think should be odds on and are completely untrustworthy. Barnsley, they've won 4 at home, drawn 1, lost 3. I don't think they should be odds on for this. Milton Keynes aren't a great team, but they were been good enough to win at Charlton and Oxford as well as Morecambe this season. I think Charlton and Oxford are top half table sides, same as Barnsley. I mean, and in their away defeats at Exeter, Shrewsbury and Cambridge, they've only gone down by the odd goal. I don't think that they warrant being as big as they are, MK Dons. But at 26%, 0.7, it's not really enough, is it? Bristol Rovers Peterborough 36, 24, 40. I was interested in Bristol Rovers. I have to say, when I'd done this, and I put them in at 7-4. I thought we might get 5-2, 11-4, but we're not. We're only getting 2-1, so I'm not interested at that. Peterborough are one of our bets, along with Bolton, to win this division, but their road form has been atrocious. They've lost 6 on the road. The only thing I'll say is those 6 defeats have all come against teams in the top 10. Their record in the top 10, Peterborough, they've had the hardest set of away fixtures out of everyone. They've played 6 of the top 10 and lost all 6 on the road. But away to teams in the bottom half, they've won 3 from 3. But they have only won them all by the odd goal. You just never know what you're going to get with Bristol Rovers. I just thought it was a match to swerve, really. Burton Plymouth 32, 23, 45. Obviously, I think Plymouth will win. Figures say that. There's only 0.2 in them. Burton have only won a couple of games at home against Forest Green and Cheltenham. Plymouth, I mean, they're top of the league. They're flying. The away form's just been a little bit patchy, but they've won 4, drawn 3, lost 2. It's not overly bad. I mean, I made them 6-5. They're 7-5. It's whether you think 0.2 at 45% is enough to warrant getting involved. Cambridge Accrington 44-23-33. Cambridge done us well in the early weeks of the season. They won some decent games at home, but the wheels have come off a bit and they've plummeted down the league, haven't they? I still think they're rightly favourites for this game. There's 0.15 in them at 44%. Accrington have won at Shrewsbury and Bristol Rovers. They've got a draw at Lincoln as well, which sort of does say they're going to be competitive in this game. But again, there's absolutely nothing in them. Cheltenham Wycombe 36-24-40. There's a whole point in Cheltenham. Yes, I know they're 19th in the table, but their home record reads 4-1-4. They've won 4, drawn 1, lost 4. They've been good enough to beat Bolton and Shrewsbury here. And, Wycombe 11-10. Do I think Wycombe more at being 11-10? Not at all. Their road form is 1-4, drawn 1, lost 4. I thought this game was a lot closer than what the bookmakers had it. I'd have Wycombe favourites at 6-4, but I certainly wouldn't have them 11-10, and I don't think Cheltenham warrant being 11-4 on our figures. There's a point in Cheltenham. It's a question of whether you think that's value or not. Fleetwood Bolton 37-23-40. Two sides that I don't really trust. We were with Fleetwood the other week and they done us a good turn. The one thing I'll say is they're a tough side to beat. They've lost 4 games all season. They've had so many draws. They've only won 4, but they've drawn, I think they've drawn 10 matches or something like that. They're really tough to beat. They've had 2 defeats at home to Shrewsbury and Barnsley. Do I see Bolton winning? Bolton have won at Accrington and MK Dons. That's their only away wins. A team in 20th and a team in 21st. I've been disappointed with Bolton this season, I have to say. They're not going to win the league. No chance. Playoffs at best. I think 0.55 at 37% is, again, it's how you see it. Lincoln Morecambe 58-23-19. I think Lincoln should be shorter than the 5-6 they are. I can understand why bookmakers are offering a bit with Lincoln, because their home record is quite funny, actually. They've won 1, drawn 7, lost none. 7 draws in 8 games at home. It doesn't sort of make you want to rush out and back them, does it? But Morecambe on the road. They've won at Forest Green, who are bottom. Aside from that, they've drawn 4, lost 4. You can make a case for the game being a draw, and that is not 19-3. That is 100-30. Just notice that. There's 0.11 in them at 58%. I think that's perfectly fair. Without form input and form study and, overthinking it like I probably bloody have done, excuse me, it's a bet, but I just worry about the amount of draws that both of these teams have had coming into this game. It's tempting, because 0.11 at 58%, I'd normally think, I want to back that. But I don't like a team that's drawn 7 of its 8 games, I have to say. But I do expect them to win tomorrow. Oxford Forest Green 62-23-15. I think Oxford should win this on figures. I don't think they should be 8-15. I think that's, too short for a team that's only won 3 games at home. They've beaten Port Vale, Cambridge and Burton. They're 12th in the league. They are better than that Oxford United, no question. Forest Green are bottom of the table. They have actually won a game on the road and drawn 4. They're better away than they are at home, Forest Green. They've won at Bristol Rovers, drawn 4, lost 4, and 3 of those away defeats have been against teams in the top 8. And that's why I say I don't think Oxford are at 8-15. It's too short, isn't it? They got draws at Charlton, Lincoln, Port Vale, Fleetwood. That's good road performance. I do think Oxford will win, but I think they're far too short for betting purposes. Right, finally in League One, Port Vale against Charlton, 41-24-35. Port Vale have seemed to have a bit of that what I call that class barrier. They've lost 3 games at home to Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday and Portsmouth, 3 of the top 5. Outside of that, they've won 3, drawn 3. Charlton are 11th. They're a better side than that, Charlton, but they've only won once on the road, and that was at Shrewsbury. But they've drawn 5, and their 3 defeats have been against teams in the top 8 against Barnsley, Bolton and Sheffield Wednesday. This game sort of looks like it smacks a bit of a draw. I couldn't justify backing either of them, and I certainly don't back draws. Sheffield Wednesday, Shrewsbury 64-23-13. Again, I think they're slightly underpriced, Sheffield Wednesday. They got a 5-3-1 home record, so they've won 5 from their 9 games. The defeat was to Barnsley, and they've drawn 3 of the others. Shrewsbury, on the road, they're not the best, but they're certainly not the worst. They've won 3 games, drawn 3 and lost 3, so it's been a mixed bag from them. I didn't think that Sheffield Wednesday warranted being the wrong side of 2s on. I certainly didn't. I thought 4-9 was too short. There's nothing in Shrewsbury. Right, just quickly before we go on to League 2, I'm just not going to scroll down all pages of results this week. We'll go back through all the results soon enough, but I just want to show you, this is England, all bets, and why I hate Premier League football so much. Not hate it, but I'm just not a fan of it. For betting purposes, you can't win at it. I say it all the time. It's very, very hard to win in the Premier Division. But I mean, you've had 17 bets, 7-1, 41%, loss of 2.3. Championship, 29 bets, 16 winners, 55%. Very, very happy with the Championship. That's some of the best results I've had so far in the Championship at this stage of the season. It's so tough to find winners and make a profit in the Championship, but I think that is a really, really good performance. I'm really happy with that. League 1, 44-22, that's 50%, 6.36, that's okay. I'm more than happy with that. League 2 is by far our biggest most successful division. 75 bets, 39 winners, 52%, 20.1 up. So in England, so far this season, we've had 165 bets, of which 84 have won. That's 50.90%, and a profit of 31.25 points. That is absolutely fantastic, because, as I always say, I look for about 100 points a season based over English football, Scottish football, National League football. We're up in Scotland, we're up in England, we're down in the National League, but we are where I expect us to be at the moment. England is flying. Since I adjusted a couple of just a slight thing, the sort of value to rating ratio, the sliding scale there, if you like, and that has helped give us more bets. This stage of the season, probably about a third of the way through, I'd probably expect about 10 points in England. That would be what I would be looking at usually. But and obviously nowhere near that quantity of bets. But because, as I say, I've made that slight alteration, going back through sort of 30 years worth of results and noticing that just by moving something just slightly, it opened up a whole stack load of bets. 200% extra bets pretty much, and that has yielded that, so I'm really, really happy. 2 point win bets, you've had 20 of them, 11-1, that's 55%, 3.16. There's been 6 maximums, 4 of 1, 66% strike rate, profit of 4.11. All maximum bets have been in League 2 as well, so we are tickling along very well all together in England, and fantastic. And at this rate, if that continues between now and the end of the season, we're going to be looking up around the 80 point mark from England, which incredible. It really is, and just hope it continues. Right, League 2 then. Let's get on with this. Barrow Hartlepool 66-23-11. I think Barrow should be 2s on, and I think they'll win. We're not great, and we're going to struggle to stay up this season. Keith Curle's coming, he's done okay, but we just don't have the players. But anyway, on to this game. Barrow, against teams in the bottom half, at home, they've got a perfect 5 from 5 record. Hartlepool away have yet to win. We got a draw at Mansfield and Colchester. We've lost the other 7. I can't see anything other than a routine victory here for Barrow tomorrow, sadly. 0.12 at 66%. It's up to you whether you think that's enough to make a bet. Bradford Northampton 42, 23, 35. I agree Bradford should be favourites, but not as short as 6-5. They've only won 3 matches at home. They've drawn 5. They have only lost once. So let's be fair. It's not like they're poor at home, but they don't seem to win as often as what they should. I mean, they've won 6 times on the road, 3 times at home. Northampton, brilliant away from home. Played 9, won 5, drawn 3, lost 1. And they've won at Stevenage and Swindon and drawn at Orient. So they can certainly mix it with the big boys on the road, Northampton. They're one of our outright bets, along with Mansfield in this division. 35%, I don't think they should be anywhere near 12-5, excuse me. I made them 15-8 shots. I do think Bradford are favourites, and if you're thinking about backing Northampton, there's a 65% chance they're not going to win. And you have to work out, are you being paid accordingly? Colchester Doncaster 35, 24, 40. Difficult one, isn't it, really? Colchester, they've only won twice at home all season against Bradford and Harrogate. Drawn 4, lost 3. They're bottom of the table. Again, I think they're going to struggle to stay up. Doncaster, since McSheffrey got the boot, they've looked a bit better. They've got a 3-3-3 away record, Doncaster, but teams below them away, they've won 2, drawn 2 and lost 1. It's half a point in them at 40%. Again, it's whether you think that's enough to take that chance on a team that on figures is not going to win 60% of the time you back them. Are you being paid enough? That's what you've got to work out. Grimsby Stevenage 32, 24, 44. A no-bet game as far as I'm concerned. I don't like Grimsby at home, but they have only lost 3 times. But those 3 times have been to teams in the top 10. Stevenage, as we know, sits second. I just think the road form's a bit patchy. I think at home they're a fantastic outfit. They've won every game bar 1, and that was a defeat at home to Northampton. So just bear in mind that, back Northampton. They've lost at Bradford, Salford. They've drawn away at Colchester, who are bottom. Gillingham, who are third bottom. And yet they've won at Doncaster, Tranmere, etc. So I do think Stevenage warrant being favourites. I just didn't think there's enough in them. 0.12 at 44%. It just wasn't a game that I had any interest in, really. I do think Stevenage will probably win. Harrogate Mansfield for 25, 25, 50. Quite a few firms got Mansfield in odds on. I can't have it at odds on. I do think they'll probably win this game, but I don't think they warrant being odds on. If we look at Harrogate's form, they've won 2, drawn 3, lost 4. The defeats have been against Orient and Bradford, who are in the top 4. Salford, who were towards the top, and Newport, who are a decent side as well. So they've lost to some decent sides. Mansfield, I don't know about them. They're a very up and down side. I mean, we're on them for the outrights, and obviously I do hope that I don't think they're going to win the league. I think playoffs is probably the best they're going to get. As I say, they've won 5. The losses have been at Sutton, Crawley, Salford and Orient. Sutton were a decent home side. Orient, Salford, you can forgive that. The defeat at Crawley was 3-2. As I say, I do think that they warrant being favourites, Mansfield. But I wouldn't be prepared to back them at evens. I certainly wouldn't be tempted at odds on. Newport Gillingham 55, 24, 21. 0.11 in Newport. Again, that would usually probably amount to a bet as far as I'm concerned, but it's not going to this week. They've only won twice at home and they've lost 6. I know there is mitigation for Newport, and I'm not going to drill all that out now, but there is. Gillingham are third bottom. They're yet to win on the road. They've only drawn 3. They've lost the other 5. I think Newport will probably win. Figures say so, but I just don't think there's enough in it to warrant backing them, because there are risks attached. Salford Carlisle 36, 24, 40. Salford have won 3, drawn 3, lost 3 at home. They're not the most reliable side, and I think there was a big fuss about them early season. But I just want to say they've won 8 games this season, but 5 of those 8 wins from Salford have been against teams 16th or below. I don't think they'll be anywhere near promotion this season. And I don't like the owners either. Carlisle come into this game 3 defeats all season, away at Stevenage and Stockport at home to Orient. It's a game which I think's probably got draw written all over it. There is half a point in Carlisle. They should be 6-4. They're 2-1. It's up to you how you see it, really. Stockport Orient, real tough one to call this. Stockport just starting to show a bit recently, aren't they? But there's nothing in here. Well, there is. I mean, look, I make them 6-5. They're 5-4. There's 0.05. You're not going to touch that, and you're not going to touch that either. It's a game I think Stockport deserve to be favourites, but you know, Orient are a tough nut to crack. They've lost once on the road all season. I wouldn't want to bet this game. Sutton Rochdale 50-23-27. Been decent at home, Sutton. They've lost 3 times to Bradford, Salford and Tranmere, so I think, you know, those are forgivable. They've beaten Mansfield and Barrow here, which is impressive, I have to say. They've not lost a game at home to teams below them. Rochdale fit into that criteria, but Rochdale are fighting. You know, they were good enough to win at Newport and get a draw at Carlisle and Tranmere, so, you know, I don't think there's enough in Sutton to warrant making the bet, and it wouldn't surprise me if Rochdale did get a result here. But Sutton obviously warrant being favourites. Swindon Crew 62-23-15. 1 loss at home all season. I mean, they have served us absolutely brilliantly. Swindon, I think 4 or 5 times we've backed them, and I think they've won every time bar 1. I said early on, when they were towards the bottom, they lost a couple of games. I mean, I said they were a top 6 side, Swindon. They're a playoff side, and I still believe that, and I think they'll beat Crewe tomorrow. Crewe sit in the bottom half of the table, and Swindon at home to teams in the bottom have played 5, won 5. You know, that's rock solid, isn't it? Crewe on the road to teams in the top half have drawn 2, lost 3. They haven't scored a goal against teams on the road in the top half of the table. I think Swindon should win this. Right, final 2 games in England, then we'll go on to the National League. Tranmere Wimbledon 55-24-21. Quite a tough one to call this. I mean, I think Tranmere should be a shade of odds on, and I say only a shade of odds on because to teams below them they've won 3, drawn 2 at home. But I just think Wimbledon have shown a bit in recent weeks. I mean, they turned over Orient 2-0, didn't they? And they've drawn at Bradford as well. Don't think they're totally out of this game, but if I had to bet, I would back Tranmere. You know, 0.2 at 55% is something that does normally interest me. Just Wimbledon, there's just a bit of an itch there. You can't scratch with them, if you know. Finally, in England, Walsall Crawley 60-23-17. I think they should be 4-6. They're 5-6. I mean, they're 13th. I think they're better than that, Walsall. I really do. And if you look at their fixtures, they've had a real tough run of it away from home. They've played the 1st, 4th, 5th, 7th, 8th team. They've played 5 of their games on the road have been against the top clubs, Walsall. You know, and at home to teams in the bottom section, they've won 4 and drawn 1. Crawley fall into that. I think Walsall are a team which, as I said many a time, I think they're capable of challenging a playoff place. I don't think they'll get a playoff place, but I just think that they're a team that I sort of see around sort of 7th, between sort of 7th and 9th, if you know what I mean. They're 13th at the moment. They're better, but that 13th, as I say, is a bit of a false position purely and simply because they played 5 of the top 8 on the road and lost 4 of them, which is perfectly understandable. But only by the odd goal. And it's interesting, isn't it, that every single one of Walsall's defeats this season, home and away, has only been by the odd goal. They're not a team that rolls over, but I do expect them to beat Crawley tomorrow. Right, finally on to the National League. 5 bets here for us. Barnet, Torquay, 58-24-18. There's .08 in Barnet. It's not a lot, I have to say. They are prone to chucking a stinker at home, but Torquay are garbage side. I just don't. I mean, how they've won at Southend and Halifax is beyond me. But I just, they've lost 6 from 9 on the road, and I just think Barnet will have their number tomorrow. Simple as that. Chesterfield Solihull 58-23-19. I think Chesterfield will win this. They've had a bit of a mini slump recently, but they've come back strong. They've won 7 from 9 on the road. They play a Solihull side where, well, I mean, I never thought Solihull would be in there. I said Solihull were sort of 8th, 9th, 10th place team, and I think that's going to be proven to be the case. They've not beaten a team outside, in the top 8, Solihull. All their wins have been against teams sort of 9th and below. They've been away at Notts County and Woking, who are 1st and 4th. They've lost there, and I think they'll lose to Chesterfield tomorrow. Simple as that. Dagenham Scunthorpe 60-22. That's 18, not 19. Oh, it's academic, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't change anything. Dagenham, I think Dagenham will win this comfortably. They've lost once at home all season. That was to Notts County. They've won 5, drawn 3 at home, as I say. Scunthorpe are 3rd bottom, yet to win on the road, drawn 4, and 3 of those draws have been against teams in the bottom 3rd of the table. Outside of that, they've drawn 1, lost 5. Dagenham might only be 11th, but Dagenham's home form's decent. Dagenham have lost 5 on the road. That's why they're in that position. Halifax, Boreham Wood. I quite fancy Halifax for this. Tomorrow, I think things have improved dramatically recent weeks. It was poor, and I did expect them to struggle early doors. We opposed them, and they 3 or 4 times, and those bets landed. But recently, the form's been okay. They've lost 3 at home to Notts County and Woking, 1st and 4th, drawn against Southend, who are 5th. They did lose the odd one to Torquay, but they've won the rest, and I think they're more than capable of beating Boreham Wood. It's easy to look at Boreham Wood and say, well, they've won 5 from 9 away and only lost 1, but I just think that they drew at Yeovil, they drew at Gateshead, teams which Halifax are miles better than those for a start. I'm not a big fan of Boreham Wood, and their recent form has been less than impressive. They've only won 1 at the last 7, I think. And that was at Wealdstone, and Wealdstone are dropping like a stone through this division at the moment anyway. So I just think that Halifax are overpriced at 19-10. I think they should be 11-8. There's plenty in them. Gateshead Southend. I think Southend should be winning this, and they're in really, really decent form. They're one of our outright bets in this division. And they're going really well. Gateshead have won once here all season. That was against Maidstone. They are a tough nut to crack here, Gateshead, but Southend, they're on fire. They're winning games, and they're winning games to nil. I think they should be odds on for this tomorrow. They're not. They're 11-10. There's 0.3 in them. It's a must bet. So we've not got National League North or South tomorrow. They're all in cup action. So Barnet, Chesterfield, Dagenham, Halifax and Southend. Those are the bets from the National League. Members' bets have gone out. Just Scotland is such a poor week for us, isn't it? There's just nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to go and back teams at 6-4 when they should be 7-4, and evens when they should be 5-4. No point in backing teams where there's no value. You can't win in the long term when you play like that. Fingers crossed we're lucky, guys, and I will be back Sunday, and as I say, I'll have finished the World Cup any group bets and those early games as well. Just trying to make my mind up, because it's not an area which I really do like betting in. I do bet in the World Cup and the Euros, but I much prefer the Euros. And as you know, we had a fantastic Euros, didn't we? But World Cup's hard to win money at, but we will try our best. And I will be back Sunday, and we'll cover the groups, any dual forecasts, straight forecasts in the groups, any other bets that we're going to stick in the anti-post portfolio, and the early matches. That's it. Good luck. Bye for now.